if you're an international student studying here in the US, then this video is definitely for you. Hey guys, welcome to Resilient Ratty, which is my YouTube channel. My name is Ratik Datta, and I'm currently pursuing my master's in marketing from Purdue University, and I'm expected to graduate in May 2024. As we all know, May is the graduation month for a lot of students all across the US, whether they're international students or they are US citizens. There are certain distinctions between being an international student versus being a US citizen when you're graduating from a US university. And there are certain limitations around which an international student has to work around. And I'm going to be talking about some of those limitations in brief. If you want me to make an in-depth video on the same, I could definitely do that as well. Let me know if that's something you'd like in the comment section below. So, in a nutshell, an international student receives what is known as an OPT, which is otherwise known as the optional practical training, which allows an international student to work here for a period of 1 year in his or her area of study. And this can be extended for a period of 3 years if you have a STEM designation, such as mine. My course is a master's in marketing, which is a STEM designation, which basically stands for science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And if you have a STEM designated degree, you get a totality of 3 years to work here in the US on the completion of your degree, after which your company would be required to sponsor you for an H-1B visa, which begs the question of what an H-1B visa is. An H-1B visa is basically a visa granted to non-US citizens by immigration officials here in the US on the assertion that the said individuals who are looking for the visa have a certain skill set which American citizens currently don't have and employers are looking for. And it's on the basis of this that they are being offered a visa and being allowed to work here in the US in a company rather than an American citizen. So, in a nutshell, it can be very difficult being an international student, and it can be pretty nerve wracking looking for a job, especially when you consider that another stipulation of an OPT is the fact that on the receival of your OPT, if you're say you get receiving your OPT time period begins on the 27th of May, for instance. What that basically means is that you have a total of 90 days of unemployment that you can accrue before you're asked to leave from the United States of America as a student. So you essentially only have 90 days to look for a job before you're asked to leave, which can be a pretty daunting and nerve-wracking task for a lot of students, because 90 days is not a lot of time, especially when you compare to some other countries where you get to stay a lot longer. Another drawback of being an international student and requiring an H-1B visa in the future is that sometimes companies filter you out because they do not want to sponsor international students. It's not like they don't want to sponsor international students. It's just that sponsoring international students is a costly process, and not all companies are willing to do it. And in such a case, if you're an international student, you automatically get filtered out of their system. You're not considered for the job, and you get an automated email saying that the company thanks you for taking the time to apply to the company, but unfortunately, they cannot be moving ahead with your application. They will not explicitly mention the reason for it, but if you're getting those emails at 12 at midnight or at 1 a.m., then you know that it's one of those automated emails where you are being rejected because you're an international student. So, given all of this, it's quite clear that it's a lot harder being an international student studying here in the US as compared to a US citizen. And given this predicament, it can be very easy to get caught up in the moment of being stressed out and and having your mind be completely occupied with thoughts of self doubt and of uncertainty about the future, because there are certain individuals who, when come to the US, have a certain goal in mind, and the goal includes working in the US, getting that experience in the United States of America before moving to their home country, or even eventually settling down. That is an option as well. And given this scenario, for the people who are not very flexible about going back to their home country to work, it can be a very stressful time to actually be looking for work here in the US, especially given all of the limitations that I spoke about. And I just wanted to make this video to address that uncertainty and to address that uneasiness that international students feel as a result of all these complicated rules. And the only thing that I would like to say, and I can say this because I'm one of you guys as well, I'm looking for a job as an international student as well. And I've had my fair share of uncertainty, self doubt, and a lot of days, a lot of sleepless nights wondering what's going to happen in the future, about whether I'm going to get a job here in the US or not. And one thing that I've learned is that worrying about the future is not going to help you in any way. It's not going to solve any problems. Um, the way to deal with this is to be completely phlegmatic. Ensure that you don't get too excited on a certain day, nor do you get too upset on a certain day, especially if you're getting a job rejection. And the best way, in my opinion, to be dealing with moments of uncertainty is to be looking at the next step that you have to take rather than looking at the long route that you have yet to assimilate on your way to your destination. So what I'm trying to say is that I watched this video by Simon Sinek, who happens to be my favorite motivational speaker, and who's also the author of Let's Start with Why. In one of his speeches, Simon talks about the importance of following your path when it comes to people who are learning skiing. So when you're learning how to ski, your instructors will tell you to follow the path. It's something which they would continuously keep saying to you in an attempt to drill it in your mind. Follow the path, follow the path, follow the path. Because it's imperative for you as a skier to be only focusing on what's right in front of you. If you were to start looking at the trees around you, there's a good chance, there's a very, very good chance, a high likelihood of you actually crashing. So the best way to not crash is to be looking at what is right in front of you. And that is the kind of analogy Simon talks about when it comes to working with uncertainty, and something that I took a lot of inspiration with. So just imagine that you're a skier right now, and the only thing that you have to worry about is to be following your path, which basically means going about doing your assignments, studying hard for your program, and applying for jobs. Don't think about what the end result of all of these actions are going to be, and just focus on following the path rather than looking for the trees, because it's when you start looking at the trees that you get distracted and you're likely to fall down, and that's not something that you can afford at this point. The best way to be dealing with uncertainty is to be focusing on the next task which is right in front of you. And trust me guys, I know how difficult this is. It's something which took me a lot of time to implement in my own belief system as well, because we are so drilled and hardwired to worry about the future that working on what we have to do immediately in the near future is something which doesn't really strike our mind too often, especially when we are worried or have fear in our heads. So it takes a little bit of training to do, but if you can drill this in your mind, if you can drill yourself to follow the path, you will see that there's a distinct difference between your total output during the day and your overall mood, which is very important, because at the end of the day, nothing is important enough to be compromising your mental health over. And you'll see that you'll be a lot more productive when you're not worried about what the future holds for you. So this was just my 2 cents. Technically speaking, they weren't my 2 cents. It was something that I have borrowed from the great Simon Sinek, and I thought it might be useful for people who are like myself in the same boat as me, looking for jobs here in the United States of America. It's a daunting task, but and something whose worry can be mitigated if you actually train your mind to do it. So this is basically how I calm my mind, and what I personally keep telling myself to ensure that all of this pressure does not get to me. Because at the end of the day, if you let the pressure get to you, then no matter how hard you may be working, you will not be as productive as you would like. And this is a very the concept of what needs to be done is not very difficult, but to actually implement it in practice is very difficult. Believe me, I know, I've tried. It took me a few days, a couple of weeks, to actually be able to inculcate this into my bodily system. But once you do it, you'll see a distinct difference between how you feel and how you go about doing your everyday day-to-day tasks. So that's about it, guys. I think Mr. Simon Sinek's Mr. Simon Sinek's words of wisdom is something that I wanted to share with you guys as well, and I hope that this helps you maintain your cool during this stressful time. There are still a few months left for graduation, so just continue working hard, studying for your program, keep applying for jobs, and keep following your path, and you'll see that it's all eventually going to work out. Because the fact that you made it here in the US in itself is a very big deal. It's a very small percentage of people all across the world who actually apply to the US and actually get the opportunity to come here to study. So you're already a winner, and you should consider yourself a winner irrespective of what the future holds for you. You have to take solace in the fact that you're talented enough to be where you are at the moment. And yeah, that's about it. In I hope that this video has been helpful. And if you like this video, make sure to leave me one of these. It really helps with the algorithm of the channel. And let me know in the comment section below about what kind of videos you'd like me to make. I would love to help out in whatever way I can. And yeah, that's about it. As an international student, one international student to another international student, all the best, guys. And it's all going to work out. I promise you that at the end of the day, irrespective of what is in store for us in the future, everything is going to be all right. And that at the end of the day is what is important. So take care, and I'll see you until next time. Are you a student? You all know me 20 month for the grad